Dear friend, I want to take you to a garden that's been growing for over 130 years. Fields of golden wheat, sunflowers, and almond blossom trees are not the only things that bloom there. For you see, stories too sprout like seeds. They spread their roots until they branched the familiar to the unfamiliar and spring new meaning and life, blossoming into better understandings of ourselves, the world, and where we fit in it. This garden first began with the brushstrokes of a painter you may know, Vincent van Gogh. But the stories and seeds have been cared for by many other hands. Fellow artists, friends and family, tour guides and historians have all gifted us this community garden. One blossoming with lessons that you don't need to be an artist to learn from. Lessons on how to live passionately, appreciatively, and lovingly. Lessons on how to grow hope. And so we hope you enjoy this story. Lesson 1. It starts with a seed. It started with an unexpected snowfall when the flowers on the trees had already begun to spring. It was 2021 in a city in the south of the US, and 1890 in the countryside in the south of France. The weather there was changeable, the winds turbulent, the skies turquoise, and the almond blossoms were in bloom everywhere. It was the kind of scene that would send flurries of inspiration through the air. The kind of scene that would make an Impressionist painter want to pick up their brush. You see, most Impressionist painters sat around sharing drinks and good times with their friends until they felt struck by a strong emotion or a beautiful scene in nature, in which case they would try to capture the reality of that moment in a painting. But Vincent van Gogh worked differently. He took his work very seriously. It might be better to say works, because Vincent changed his job 4 times before trying art at age 27. He was no stranger to awkward, painful beginnings.
One unconsciously makes it very hard for oneself, a feeling of not being able to master the work, by an uncertainty as to whether one will ever master it, by a great ambition to make progress, by a lack of self-confidence. One cannot banish a certain feeling of agitation.
One hurries oneself, though one does not like to be hurried. It reminds me of my first day of work, when I hid in the bathroom stall and cried until I could escape and call my mom for comfort. Convinced that they had made a mistake in hiring me, that I would never be able to learn what I was supposed to, and that I was a complete imposter. Or when I first moved to a new country and started speaking a language that wasn't mine. I would hide in my bedroom with the lights off, my brain so fried, too tired to even call my mom. When starting something new, we are often like a sensitive seed, pretending to be a fully grown tree. Enjoy the beginning phases of feeling like a pile of dirt. It's a phase full of potential. Don't see the forest of people around you as points of comparison or competition. There's enough soil for you all, so sprout your roots and spread into your foundation. Okay, all plant metaphors aside, it's important to remember to strive for patience when beginning something new. It may be helpful to know that when Vincent van Gogh started painting at age 27, he was very bad at it. So take your time. It takes seasons to grow. Lesson 2. No garden blooms all year round. Vincent would spend years learning how to paint. He would work through the fundamentals, following drawing books and studying more experienced artists. He was trying to be patient, but he was desperate to prove himself. The pressure was on. He was a peasant trying to become a painter, and the only one buying his paintings was his little brother. He tried to work quick as lightning. Living off of only bread and coffee, he would paint every single day, pushing himself until he reached his limits and couldn't paint anymore. That spring, he found himself in the hospital. By the time he was released, all of the petals had fallen from the almond blossom trees he so desperately wanted to paint. He was forced to accept that there was no plant or person in nature that could flower all year round. We would all be subject to the seasons, given periods of productivity and passion, springs and summers, which would fall into winters, restful and barren. Yet so many of us are forced to be productive all year round, by ourselves or others. It's so rare that we give ourselves time for rest. So many of us run around fueled by coffee with a few breakdowns under our belt, wondering how in the world we will get through the end of the day. I know that rest is a privilege and most people have an endless list of things they need to get done. So at least, in this moment, let watching this video be something restful for you. You're in the right place, at the right time. You're safe. You can breathe deep and relax. If you ever start to worry that you're not doing enough, you're not moving through your checklists fast enough, you're not on track, think that Vincent would spend months in the hospital throughout his life. When he would be released, his paintbrushes were waiting for him, and he would continue on. The best way to keep blooming is to give yourself the rest you need when you can. Lesson 3. Appreciate each petal, leaf, and thorn. You may know Vincent van Gogh as a shining star of success in a starry night, but he never lived to see such recognition.
Who am I in the eyes of most people? A nobody? A non-entity? Someone who is not and never will have any position in society. Well then, even if that's all absolutely true, then one day I will have to show by my work what this nobody has in his heart.
You may be thinking one of two things. What does Vincent have in his heart, or why should I even care? You may be surprised when I tell you I think it's quite similar to what you have in yours. What could you possibly have in common with Vincent van Gogh, a painter from hundreds of years ago? I think if I were to paint a picture of your lives, they would be similar. Because you see, the scenes would be different, but the color palettes would be the same. There would be rich greens and golds of friendship and growth. Royal blues and purples of pride and dedication. Fiery reds and oranges of passion and creativity. Of course, no painting would be complete without first filling in its shadows. There would be dark browns and grays of hardship and disappointment, and deep blacks of fear and loss. Because, you see, no matter how different we may be, I think we all know what it means to feel deeply, to live both joy and pain. Because if you've ever found love, you know that's when you start to fear you'll lose it. And if you've ever dared to dream, you know that's when you most start to doubt if your feet and mind are capable of following it through. And if you've ever found something in your heart you want to share, it's when you most start to worry that the world won't care, that you will always be a nobody. Our lives are made up of a beautiful blending and harmony of colors and shades, but we so often focus on the shadows. We fill them in and block out the light. Did you know that when Vincent first started painting, he was only capable of making gray harmonies? Only capable of painting gray. When you look at his life story from a surface level, it's easy to understand why. You may have all heard the tales of a sad man who only sold one painting, lived in fear, lost his mind and his ear. But I don't think that's the story he wanted us to hear. For you see, this gray man found a world of color. And how did he do it? By studying flowers.
I have made a series of color studies in painting simply flowers, red poppies, blue cornflowers, white and red roses, seeking opposition in blue with orange, red and green, yellow and violet, seeking the broken and neutral tones as to harmonize brutal extremes, trying to render the intense color and not a gray harmony. And so I'm struggling for life and progress in art.
The more attention he paid to each humble detail, each leaf, each petal, each thorn, the more beautiful they became. Because you see, in just one simple sunflower, you can find a world of beauty. A budding one, a symbol of hope. A fully bloomed one shows the reward of attention. Because if you look closely, it's actually a bunch of little flowers surrounded by giant petals. It's like flower inception. And even a wilting one dries and becomes beautiful shades of gold. Green gold, yellow gold, purple gold, coppery gold. When I tried myself to see how many colors I could notice around me, I was surprised by how calm it made me. I found that in moments of stress when my mind is racing, that simply noticing all of the details around me seems to slow me down for some reason. I know it can sound a little silly, but even if you're like me and live in a gray city or have flower allergies, it's worth a try. Focus on literally anything. I tried it with sidewalks and found that even the little shimmers of broken glass and the bright pops of orange of crushed cigarette butts can bring my focus into a surprising state of appreciation. I even started to notice that some of the cracks in the sidewalk looked like the shapes of hearts, and it made me smile. I think that's why, no matter how sad Vincent's life may have been on the surface, he seemed surprisingly calm and happy despite his circumstances. You don't have to do this with color. You can do it with sound, with texture, with smell, with taste. It takes patience and practice, so try not to get too frustrated. It helps me to remember that Vincent would spend years studying flowers before he felt like he could truly see color. Appreciating each detail around you, and the world will convert into something beautiful. You can even pause the video and try it now if you'd like.
Even though I'm often in a mess, inside me there's still a calm, a pure harmony, and music. In the poorest little house, in the filthiest corner, I see a painting and drawing, and my mind turns in the direction as if with an irresistible urge.
Lesson 4. Flowers grow where you shine. If your attention can turn a simple petal, leaf, and thorn into a powerful moment of calm, a beautiful work of art, imagine what it could do if you gifted it to those around you. Your appreciative attention has the potential to make others grow. Now, you may want to know, how is it that a man who only sold one painting in his lifetime left such a legacy? Each painting, each portrait and landscape Vincent left us was like planting a seed. But what kept this garden growing for generations? Well, to tell that story, I need to introduce some new characters, because Vincent certainly didn't do it alone. I'll start with a tour guide, whose delightful storytelling provided warm shelter on a cold winter's day in Amsterdam. As I walked through the halls of the Van Gogh Museum, I started to realize I had more in common with Vincent than I would have liked to admit. Because, at first, as one so often does, I focused more on our pains. We had breakdowns, worried we were burdens to our family, and feared that we were running out of time to prove ourselves. But with each story that the tour guide told me, I realized that we shared similar joys as well. A love for art, for nature, for friends and family. It's thanks to this tour guide that I learned the story of the almond blossom painting. But to tell that story, I need to introduce another character. Theo, Vincent's little brother, was always there for him. As constant as the fact that winter will turn to spring, Theo always believed in his older brother. When Vincent said he wanted to be a painter, Theo would send him money for his food, housing, and paints. And when Vincent feared he might have to give up painting to seek help for his illness, Theo never quit on him, paying not only for his bedroom in the asylum, but also the room next to it to be his studio. It was there that he would paint the works of A Starry Night and the vibrant garden paintings that we so know and love him for. And on Vincent's last day, Theo was there holding him, and they spoke not of pain and loss, but of love and life. And once Theo and Vincent had passed, well, to tell that story, I need to introduce another character. Her name is Jo, the wife of Theo. After Theo and Vincent passed, she gathered all of the letters that Vincent had shared and received, hundreds of them. She translated them from Dutch and French to English and published them. She spent her life collecting and caring for his paintings, and it's thanks to her that I was able to walk through this museum and hear the lovely story of the almond blossom painting. Theo wrote his brother that they had had a son, Vincent's nephew, and he would name him after Vincent, hoping that his son would be as dedicated and courageous as his older brother. It filled Vincent with such love, joy, and hope that he set out to make a painting to represent that. He would paint an almond blossom tree against a turquoise sky because almond blossom trees are the first to flower in the spring, a symbol of hope, of new life. Jo wrote that the baby was fussy at first, but now that they had decided to hang the painting above the baby's crib, it seemed to become almost a philosopher of sorts. It would lose itself in the details of the trees and the sky, with a happy smile, seeming to ponder each detail and brushstroke that his uncle had made for him. So, while they say that Vincent van Gogh never knew success in his life, I think it's a mistake to measure his success in millions of dollars of paintings sold or museum showings, but rather his success is in the hope and love that he both gave and received. If you ever search for the word love in his letters, they appear in over 200, and the word hope in over 500 letters. We might not all be Vincents, but I think we can all be Theos and Joes, supporting the dreams of those around us just by paying attention to them, just believing in them, appreciating them the way that Vincent appreciated every flower he painted. That brings me to the next character in this story. You. We want to say thank you because in watching this video, you're already doing so much. This channel is a space where artists are collaborating to share their hopes and dreams, and you watching it actually means the world to us. I actually saw the power that we have while working on this video. I listened to my lovely friend Amber's music on repeat while working on this script. Spotify's algorithm seemed to notice and started recommending his music to other people. And just like that, with the attention of one person, Amber's monthly listeners went up. You know, when I think of subscriptions, comments, and likes, they can sound like a cliche, but I think they're almost like a modern form of letter writing. A way you can tell the people contributing to the videos that you see, hear, and support them. You really have so much power to build yourself and others up with simple actions. You're like a sun. Where you shine, others will grow. So thank you for lending us your light today. We all know Vincent van Gogh, but if I'm honest, his work used to make me sad. Hopeless even. Like there was no way to be an artist. That for your work to matter, it would have to be after you were already long gone. But I had it all wrong. Vincent didn't become an important artist after his death, he always was one. To those who saw him. It's not the museums or the money, it's the moment someone cares. That someone sees your shine that makes an artist. These are the kinds of stories and lessons that artists deserve. The ones that grow hope. Because if there's anything that makes me feel hopeful, it's the things we could do, the artists we could be, if we work together. Like Vincent, Theo, and Joe. And so if you would like to know more stories and lessons from artists throughout time and around the world, join us here at 360 Creativity. We are a growing group of artists collaborating to create healthy, inspiring art educational content, so we can all keep crafting a world that grows like a garden filled with hope and love. And so, we hope you've enjoyed this story, that it takes its roots with you and grows throughout the years, reminding you that we all start off like small, humble seeds, that not all of our seasons will spring flowers, but that we can appreciate each petal, leaf, and thorn. That as we shine, those around us grow. And most importantly, that our stories matter. So stick around to see the next one. Or contact us to help us tell it. Our artist group is looking for someone just like you. Everyone you see on the screen is dedicated to building a space for artists, a place where we feel seen, heard, and safe as we explore our creativity. To help us form this group, we would love for you to join us. You can do so by sending us a modern letter, liking, subscribing, commenting, reaching out to any of the individuals you see on screen, or to the 360 Creativity team directly. And if your support can be financial, it would really mean the world to us. These videos take a lot of time and effort, so we've set up something called Patreon where you can donate to support. We're looking forward to our next adventure together.